Doma and Konnichiwa. Plus, Yabaseo. Will here of the POLIT'AI CHI. Talking briefly and concisely about slideshow montage, video highlights in full coming up. Late night comedy, not so funny. Video highlights in full coming up. Your presence through watching is honored. Hi. Alright. Hey, nice suit, Connor. You'd think with all the money he made, you could get something that, you know, looks better than off the rack. Do any of these dudes look funny to you? This is just the other night, excuse me. Seth Rogan. I mean, he wasn't that funny on SNL. You know who is conspicuously absent? This dude. Don't we have enough American comedic talent and we have to get like dudes overseas? I want to see British comedy. I'll watch the Graham Norton show on BBC. Clearly it's British, so forth and so on. Who? Sophia Bush? I was like, okay. Both these gals, nice mouth. Kissed your mother with that mouth from Wayne's World. Far and away, much better looking than the previous two gals shown. Much more classy as well. And the POLIT'AI CHI's new favorite Republic brother, Lawrence Jones. Thus the reason for the polyrant, roll it.
Issue. Brian, it comes to a point now where we got to start pushing back on this agenda. We need peace in this country, and we need the Second Amendment to protect ourselves. But these guys don't care about it. They care, and many of these people, Brian, I know this is not PC, but many of these people weren't born in this country. They don't know the fight that we went through to get these people, or Trevor Noah. They don't know what we went through as a nation to get to this point. As a black man in America, it took the Second Amendment. We didn't just become free. It took a Second Amendment to fight off the oppression that was happening. It took white and black folks to fight against that.
Gary, everybody wants...
All right. So, yeah, I got quite a, a fair share of, I'd say 50% American, African subscribers. Quite a few of them got involved in the old rendition of the POLIT'AI CHI when I used to cover MSNBC. Yeah, I think she's stunning. Your mind is stunning as well. All right, no implication of anything beyond just that. A beautiful woman like that with a brain. That's the sexiest thing in the world. And I'd like to think they think that about us guys as well. They being women. All right, so yeah, they would chime in every once in a while when I would be like, you gotta do away, you being whomever was using the phraseology from the 60s, hearkening back to the 60s, the anachronistic language of racism, implying, any other minority other than white, subhuman, and whatnot. People of color. It's the same thing as when people would hearkening back to those times when people said, that Negro boy, that colored boy, they've chimed in on the channel. Not these fools. But Lawrence Jones. A black man wants to be a conservative, catches a lot of flack for him. This dude, he's got it figured out. These gals in Hollywood, the POLIT'AI CHI is close enough to Hollywood where I can smell the, never mind. Alright, thanks for watching those silly DUIs, or easily preventable DUIs, as I'm now trying to say. Roll clips.
All right, the late night hosts of the big networks aren't all from the United States, and none of them are foreign policy experts or gun experts. But that doesn't stop them from opining, especially on this situation in Las Vegas.
To the people of Las Vegas, I can't give you thoughts and prayers. I can only say that I'm sorry. I'm sorry that we live in a world where there are people who will put a gun before your lives.
This guy reportedly had 10 of them in his room, apparently legally. At least some of them were there legally. Why is that allowed? I don't know why our so-called leaders continue to allow this to happen.
I don't think it should be so easy for one demented person to kill so many people so quickly. Enforce Obama's executive order that denied mentally ill gun purchases. Or a better answer, reinstate the assault weapons ban, or come up with a better answer. Anything but nothing. Doing nothing is cowardice.
Just be honest and tell us, this is how it is. This is how it will continue to be. Instead of saying, this isn't the time to talk about it, just say, we're never going to talk about it.
Gun violence should not be a staple of American life. Some say it's too early to talk about gun control. for those victims last night, it's far too late.
And James Corden should know that there was a backpack bomb that blew up the area at a Grande concert, and all those people that got run over by trucks, and the guy that gets out of the car with the gun with unarmed cops, they had to get special cops to suppress them. There's violence throughout France, violence throughout Spain, violence in Canada, all due to different domestic terror opportunities. And in England, it's going crazy with over 5 attacks. Joining us right now to analyze, should late night comics be weighing in on international and domestic events? The host of one of the hosts of The Blaze, Lawrence Jones, and in Washington, Carrie Sheffield. You can see her on the digital news network. First off, to you, Lawrence, are you okay with people on late night television doing something that's not usual? And that is telling us how to think and offering their opinions on comedy shows.
Yeah, I'm not too happy about it, especially considering that I feel like there's this effort to disarm Americans. I'm comfortable in the state of Texas because I know when I go to my movie theater that I can carry my gun when there could be potentially some type of terror attack. But it seems like these late night hosts have an agenda and they want to disarm us all. It was typically a time when we would have these mass events of terrorism that we would come together as a country, and it seems like they are more concerned with their political agenda.
Carrie, they have a younger audience, not nearly as big as it used to be on late night. It used to be NBC and just everybody else until Letterman split off. But right now, do you think they're doing the responsible thing, sounding off and giving their opinions?
Well, first, Brian, our hearts are with the victims in Las Vegas, but this is irresponsible. If you have a public platform, you do need to have both sides. Ostensibly, that's what they like to say, that they believe in nuance. This is not nuance. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. They say that, gun violence should not be a staple of American history. This is not it is a recent thing. And you know why it's a recent thing? Is because our society, our fabric, our culture, we used to value virtue. We used to value life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and the Constitution. The Constitution explicitly says we have a right to bear arms and protect ourselves. But what happens is that this shooter and all the other mass shooters have a similar profile. They reject virtue.
Except Jimmy Fallon kind of lays out and gets in trouble for it sometimes with ratings, but they all despise President Trump. They mock him endlessly where you can't even find the humor. It's just a point of view. And then in this situation, they say, if not now, when? Can we find out what happened, what the motivation was, where he got his guns, how he passed his background check, and where we go from here?
Not just that, Brian, but they don't talk educatedly with an educated view about guns. They don't even know what an automatic or a semi-automatic gun is, but they have these talking points about this issue. Brian, it comes to a point now where we got to start pushing back on this agenda. We need peace in this country, and we need the Second Amendment to protect ourselves. But these guys don't care about it. They care, and many of these people, Brian, I know this is not PC, but many of these people weren't born in this country. They don't know the fight that we went through to get these people, or Trevor Noah. They don't know what we went through as a nation to get to this point. As a black man in America, it took the Second Amendment. We didn't just become free. It took a Second Amendment to fight off the oppression that was happening in this country. It took white and black folks to fight against that.
Gary, everybody wants a solution. Absolutely, we want to take action. We no one wants to observe and turn away. But in the big picture, I was amazed by this. I'm watching the Vietnam series, and they have Johnny Carson after a horrific day in Vietnam.
Highly recommend
Carson
it.
hops on and says, hey, listen, we're not going to do the Tonight Show tonight. I got to toss it to my news division. And the news division took over. So in times of horror, maybe the responsible thing is to throw it to 2020 and not keep it on Jimmy Kimmel.
Well, and Brian, you're absolutely right. That's why you see President Trump calling out fake news. I 100% agree with President Trump in calling out the hypocrisy of fake news, because these are supposed to be entertainers, and they're now presenting themselves as experts and people that you should take seriously, even though they have no policy backgrounds. And Brian, you pointed out exactly this monster who perpetrated these attacks. He passed the rigorous background checks. He passed background checks in multiple states, apparently. And so it's not about that. It's about reconstituting our national fabric and saying we believe in virtue. We believe that the character matters. But if you talk about character, those late night characters down in Hollywood, they'll make fun of you and they'll say that you're wacko or you're a religious nut job. How about we talk about that?
Right.
Yeah, Brian, what legislation would have prevented this? What legislation, if the liberals can name one thing that we could have done to prevent this, I'm all ears.
All right. We could
Well,
have,
and not to
we could
mention,
have, Carrie, I got it.
48% of the country says they own a gun in their home. 48%
And I think that,
of the
and
country.
over the last 8 years, gun purchases have been up 50%, and gun violence, despite the upward in massacres, the overall gun violence is down significantly. But everybody wants a solution. Nobody wants to tolerate this. But I think people should stop blaming, and we could at least get the facts out. Guys, great conversation. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Really? Late night hosts, you can't resist the urge for one night. Put aside your radical left-wing policies. And by the way, you're often so wrong about the issue. It's sad. Then you have celebrities taking to Twitter. They make their cheap political points. Lena Dunham, for example. Oh, no way not to politicize this tragedy. It's about gender and race as well as access to guns, considering it's random, is comforting and dangerous. Lady Gaga, oh, the great political philosopher she is. She writes, prayers are important, but Paul Ryan and real Donald Trump, oh, blood is on the hands of those who have power to legislate. And she writes, hashtag Gun Control Act. Hey, Lady Gaga, where were you when all the violence in Chicago was happening? G.T. Hadid, it sickens me, the ease with which a terrorist can be sold a gun. It's the ease really worth all these lives? This needs to stop. Or Sophia Bush tweeting, Dear Donald, F you for this. Truly, sincerely, America. Alyssa Milano tweeting, doesn't our children's safety mean more than your right to own weapons that can kill on a mass scale? F you, NRA. Now, here's the hypocrisy. Celebrities are completely out of touch. Now, shouldn't they be focused now? They're also caring on victims and their families instead of trying to score cheap political points against the president and advancing their left-wing ideology. By the way, here's the hypocrisy. They want to disarm all of us, all of you, the American people, prevent you from having the right to protect yourself, protect your family. How many of them live in expensive multi-million-dollar gated communities? How many of them have armed security anytime they leave their house? So the attacks from these celebrities shouldn't surprise anybody. Look what Saturday Night Live this past weekend said about President Trump. Take a look at this.
Oh, really, Donald? You bitch. This isn't that complicated, man. It's hurricane relief. These people need help. You just did this for white people twice. Do the same thing. Go tell Melania to put on her flood heels, get some bottled water, some food, pack up some extra Atlanta Falcons Super Bowl t-shirts, and write them a check with our money, you cheap cracker.
Really? You have to wonder, would they ever say that about Barack and Michelle? Here's Hillary Clinton also lashing out in her effort to exploit what happened. Watch her.
This is nothing but pure, unadulterated greed, motivated by people who want to sell as many guns as they can
the smugness factor
engage
is
in
week by week.
a falsity of fear and rhetoric about why everybody has to have guns. And, you know, there's just, the evidence is just so clear that more guns do not keep you safer.
Falsity.
No, read John Lott. More guns, less crime. She waited a
the word
whopping
is
9 hours
falsehood.
before she started playing politics with what happened here.
Falsity.
She's just bitter and angry and frankly a disgraced ex-presidential candidate. Beyond disgrace. But do you even remember them talking about the out-of-control violence, unprecedented violence in Chicago when Barack Obama was president? Let's look at the videotape statistics here. During the Obama presidency, there were over 3,900 murders in his adopted hometown. Did you hear anything from the left, the late-night comedians, Lady Gaga, the genius that she is? Or what about the more than 18,000 people shot in Chicago just during the last 6 years of Obama's presidency? Did anybody on the left, all these people out there, did any of them go to Chicago to try and help those people being shot? We listed their names on this show. Take a look at the side of your screen. We'll show you the victims of this shooting here in Vegas throughout the hour. This is the only thing that matters right now. Honoring those victims, supporting their families, praying for their recovery. That should be the main focus of the moment. Now's not the time to make cheap political points, divide the country, push your cheap political agenda, and try and use the tragedy to further a bitter partisan agenda. How about the country can come together, like they did an hour before this terrible shooting, and nearly 30,000 people with their cell phones in the air and their lights bright as the light can see